Morning everyone, 12 o'clock, lunchtime. I am going to make queen's eggs. So thanks again for joining. So what on earth are queen's eggs? So queen's eggs are actually, it's a version of scrambled eggs that Queen Elizabeth II preferred as her morning breakfast. She usually has it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of chives, a little bit of creme fraiche, but we're gonna make a basic queen's eggs. Now, like I said, it's a version of scrambled eggs. So what you're going to need are scrambled eggs. And how this works is, remember in the multiple eggs episodes that I said, the slower you cook the eggs, the more flavorful they become. Well, this is probably the slowest you'll ever cook eggs, right? It's actually going to take 20 minutes or probably 30, depending on, how slow you're actually cooking it. So the idea is that you're cooking eggs over a double boiler. Now, Kareem, what the hell is a double boiler? A double boiler is basically a container like this pot with simmering water, right? So to get to simmer, boil first, get it to a rapid boil, and then drop the temperature down to where you're just kind of seeing bubbles kind of forming down at the bottom, and you see all the steam coming up here, right? That's a simmer, okay? So boil first, temperature down, get it to these little bubblies in the water, okay? So I've got it going right now. It's just right here, okay? Trust me that this is what's happening here. So we're gonna scramble. I've got 3 eggs in my glass bowl. We're gonna scramble them lightly, right? Very, very lightly, because guess what? You're gonna continue to scramble these over the double boiler. Okay, so double boiler again, simmering water, and a glass or a metal bowl or whatever the heck you want that just is gonna sit over this lovely double boiler here, okay? You can buy a double boiler, but honestly I wouldn't waste my money. If you have a pot and you have a glass bowl or a metal bowl, that's perfect. So all you're doing is just slowly kind of moving the eggs around over this double boiler. And all I'm doing, I'm not sort of hard scrambling, right? Let me see if I can tell this. I'm gonna pause the video, zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. But all I'm doing is just kind of moving the eggs around, right? Pushing to one side and moving them around, and eventually they will start to cook and form. But they will take a good 20 minutes. So you're gonna have to be really patient. This isn't something you're gonna do early in the morning before the kids go to school, right? This is gonna be something that you do for your wife, for your husband, in the morning, maybe a special breakfast while they're in bed. You bring them a nice tray with a little bit of really fantastic coffee and some of these lovely queen's eggs. And I don't want to predict what might happen after this lovely breakfast, but you can probably imagine the kind of thank you might get. So we're gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna pause the video for a minute so that I can zoom in a little bit more. You don't need to see my ugly face while I'm doing this. What you want to see is the eggs. And because this is gonna take 20 minutes, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pause and resume a couple of times just to kind of show you the progression, because you really don't want to see water boil here, okay? So give me a second, I will be right back. Please hold on. Okay, so we're still going with these eggs. They still are pretty runny, so we're still going to continue to go. Now, what I am finding, and what should be expected, remember in some of the eggs episodes I said that the egg whites cook in a much lower temperature. They congeal at a much lower temperature than the egg yolks, typically in the low 140s, versus the yolks that will typically be at 148 plus. They will congeal. So what I'm starting to see actually now, and I don't know if you can really see it, but some of the whites are congealing at the bottom, which is great. It means that the process is moving. If you do get eggs on the sides, please scrape them down so that you don't lose any eggs. Plus, they'll stick on the sides around here if you keep them there. So just keep this moving at all times. You don't want it to sit stagnant for any period of time. Why is this thing off the thing? There we go. You don't want this to sit stagnant in any period of time because the eggs will just start to stick. So just keep moving it. Keep moving it. Don't scramble it. Don't beat it. Just keep moving it around. And you're going to just keep doing this. You're going to have a lot of patience, maybe a little bit of coffee while you're doing this, because it is going to take a while. Make sure the water is still simmering. Check on it every once in a while. You want to have some of the soft bubbles going, but not boiling, just a simmer. So just keep going with this. And I will be back, as Schwarzenegger likes to say. Okay, so we are still working on our queen's eggs. The one thing you have to be careful of is please do not let the eggs sit for any more than a few seconds in the bowl, because what happens is the bowl's hot because you've got some, simmering water here, and what's going to happen is it's going to stick. So the idea is that you want the fluffiest possible eggs, and to achieve that you have to keep the eggs moving, right? If they stick to the bottom, then you're just going to get some inconsistencies in how the egg is cooked. So you're going to get some really hard pieces in there and some really soft pieces. So keep it moving. Do not, once it simmers, you put the eggs on in the bowl and you keep it moving. I hope this angle actually looks a little bit better. I tried to move the camera around so you can see, but it's really hard when you have something this high. And they don't have a professional setup where I've got a camera directly overhead. So I apologize for that. You're just gonna have to use a little bit of your imagination, but I hope you can see enough of what we're doing that you can kind of fill in the blanks with your brain. So we're just keeping this moving. So it's starting to congeal. You can see that, right? It's starting to congeal. It's a lot better than it was about 10 minutes ago. So it's just gonna keep going. So I am going to pause again, and I'm going to come back basically when it's almost finished so that I can show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, be back. Okay, so we have finished our queen's eggs. Now, I haven't done this in a while, so I didn't realize, or I actually forgot, how concentrated this will become. And if you could see here, it almost looks cheese-like, right? It's very, very deep colored orange, yellow-orange, and it's almost pretty cheese-like. So, and you will lose a lot of volume, unfortunately, and this is the part that I actually kind of forgot, is that through this process you will lose some volume. Some of it is going to go to sort of it being on the sides, some of it's on the spatula, though you can pull that back down. But just make sure that you keep stirring this, because if you don't, you're going to lose even more volume at the bottom of the bowl. So what you want to do, say this was, believe it or not, I'm going to plate this here in a second, I'll show you. This was 3 eggs. Now normally 3 eggs looks a lot more than this. This is probably about a third of sort of the egg volume that you would get with 3 eggs, but this is how it is. So, let me plate that, I'll show you. Now just be careful, the bowl is really, really hot. So, here we go. This is it, ladies and gentlemen, the Queen's eggs. Thank you, Queen Elizabeth, for bringing this to us. Thank you, French egg gods, for bringing this to us. But this, I have a feeling, is gonna be extremely tasty, right? The camera actually shows that it's a lot more yellow than it is. It's actually really orange, the way I'm seeing it with my own eyes. I think it's just the filters in the camera. But anyway, you can cook it a little bit longer than that, but this is, this is good. Cook it longer if you want to. Just remember, it's going to be extremely deeply flavored because you cooked it for 30 minutes. At least my timer I wasn't really timing it, but approximately about 30 minutes. So don't salt it, don't pepper it, don't do anything with it. Taste it first, and then be very, very careful and very minimal with your seasoning, because you just don't want to over season this. It took you 30 minutes to do. This is not something that you're gonna quickly whip up in 5 seconds in the morning, like we do with our scrambled eggs, even though scrambled eggs should take longer, right? Because the slower you cook the scrambled eggs, the more flavorful they become. This is probably the slowest you're gonna find. You're gonna cook your eggs. So because this is a special dish, because this takes a while, use it for special occasions or when you have time, but don't over season this immediately. Taste it first, be very careful with your seasoning, and really enjoy it. I've got a piece of sourdough bread that's toasting in the toaster oven. I'm gonna butter that with some homemade butter, watch the homemade butter episode, and I'm gonna eat that on the side, and it's just gonna be this delicate, beautiful thing. Now, again, this is 3 eggs, so you might wanna make more. I would probably start with 5 or 6, right? If you want it for 2 people or even for 1, depending on how many eggs you eat. But you will lose quite a bit, I think, on the sides of the bowl. So plan accordingly. Use more eggs than you think you're going to need. And if you have a little extra, give it to your beautiful wife, your husband, your dog, although the dog will probably inhale it in 2 seconds and not even appreciate the delicacy of this. But this is it. Enjoy your Queen's eggs, and I'll see you again.